Hello,
Hello,
hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you see me?
I can, yeah.
I cannot see you. Can you?
My camera's on.
That's it. Now to your side. That's great. Hello, Annie.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Annie, thank you so much for contacting me and wanting to do this.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, I would like to say to everyone, Annie, it's very strong and is a warrior mother as well, and that's why it's on this channel, because we want to expose the child trafficking that the social services are doing. If you haven't subscribed to this video, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and help these to get the light of everyone, because we need to stop this. The society in general needs to be aware of what the social services are doing right now. And Annie Kyle is another mother that the social services have targeted. Is that correct, Annie?
It is, yeah.
Annie, would you like to introduce yourself and start explaining, please?
I'm Annie Kyle, targeted by three particular social workers, well, two social workers and their manager from Moat House in Coventry, Sarah Tubb, Jacqueline Smith and Charlotte Steen, who targeted me and wanted me to make false statements to the police for domestic violence that wasn't happening. When I told them it wasn't happening, they switched off me, went to my children's dad and did the same to him. He went along with what they wanted and made a statement against me for domestic violence towards him, which never ever happened. They were told to go and look at the police records for the domestic violence that had happened 18 plus years ago. I
When
went to the,
Annie, when so you are saying that 18 years ago you were a victim of domestic violence.
yes,
Did you report that to the police?
yes, and he was dealt with by the court, given community service. Nothing else ever happened apart from a few arguments which was caused by social care and the said social workers. Children were actually in their care when these arguments happened, so they weren't at home.
Okay, how many children did you have at home back then?
Three. When the domestic violence was happening, three, and one of them is now an adult, and he's also being targeted by Coventry Social Services with his children.
So, when you were a domestic violence victim, they have not taken the children 18
No,
years ago. No, they have.
no,
Now, has the father been arrested for the domestic violence?
yes, he was. He was dealt with. He was given community service. He learned his lesson. It's never happened again. Apart from while the children were in social care's care, there were some arguments, but there was no actual physical violence. It was verbal,
But he
and that
was
was what
arrested.
that not for the verbal arguments. No, this was what social care caused while they had my children in foster care. They weren't even at home.
Hmm. But he was punished for that.
Yeah, yeah,
He was punished for that. Okay.
yeah. Paid all his court costs, did his community service. It's never happened again. And they didn't like it because they couldn't bully me into making a false statement.
So, but why now, after 18 years after, why do they get involved?
They got involved because an ex-friend of mine, I had some information on her. She had asked the children's dad, can't you shut her up, give her some tablets or something. I then got took in 3 years ago, 3 years in January coming. I had major brain surgery to remove a cyst from the bottom of my nose at the back of my brain. I do have a scar that goes from one ear to the other to prove that I had this operation. And because of a mix-up with medication I should never have been put on by the hospital when they did my operation.
Yeah.
Then my doctor gave me a second lot. I come back, I said to my mum, my dad, and the children's dad that the second lot of tablets was antibiotics, but very confused from the operation anyway. They went with what I said, which was I had to have my normal tablet at a normal time, and then an hour later I'd have the next tablet, which they were told was antibiotics. It wasn't, it was another anti-fit medication, just different letters and different numbers. So effectively, I was double dosed. But that was because I come back and explained they were antibiotics, not anti-fit medication.
But how does the social service they get involved when you are doing those things?
Because when I come out of hospital, I was under physiotherapy because I'd lost the use of my left side from the operation. And I told the physiotherapist that I'd been double dosed on my tablets. They then rang the police and social care come out. From there, I was took to my GP to have myself checked. It was also stated that Dad was giving the kids the medication that was prescribed for Ernie, which was later found to be they were just saying it because they wanted it just me and them, because they couldn't get away with doing everything they wanted to do, which was basically they didn't want to do their schooling, which was being done at home during COVID. Then from there.
But so the social services get involved because you're not doing the right medication. Are they that concerned with you? So they
got involved because I was having 2 lots of the same medication, and it was said that Dad, for the children, was actually doing it deliberately. It wasn't done deliberately. It was done through mistake with me.
Yes, and I'm sure that you have tried to explain that many times, and they never wanted to know.
No one listens. Doesn't matter what I say, what I do. Nothing's ever good enough. I'm meant to have 12 contacts a year with my daughter and my 2 sons. Due to different things within the court paperwork, it's being held back from me. I'm only getting 8 visits a year when it should be once a month.
I just want to clear out that how many children do you have in total?
I've got 4 in total.
And
one adult.
One adult, yes. That actually is the one is 28 years old now, and you was not taken by the social services when you were actually the domestic violence victim that they knew. So you was not taken back then 18 years ago. So now you are the mother of 4 children, and now on this situation...
No, I've got 4 including him.
Say again?
4 including the adult.
Yeah. So now, 18 years after, there is this big confusion. They want to assume that you are taking double dose just because you wanted to. And they take the children from you. They take 3 children from you. They take 16 years old boy, a 15 years old boy, and a 9 years old girl. And they put them to foster care, correct?
Yeah.
And you tried so many times to explain that was just a mistake, and even the father of your children, he is on your side, and he explains everything, but even though it is not enough, and they don't give the children back to you.
No. They won't listen to anything any of us say. Even at contact, we've got contacted workers saying one thing, and then social workers saying something else. We've asked for outside visits for 2 years. We've been stuck in a clammy room with no air going through the building. I have medical conditions. Their dad has heart conditions. And we're stuck in the middle of a building with no air.
So Annie, this nightmare has been for 2 years, started in 2022, has been held for 2 years. You have tried to explain many times the point but they don't
Yeah.
care. They are making money on your children. And at the moment, you managed to get back one of them because he's 16 years old.
Yeah.
You got back, not getting back because he's not officially with you. He's just in presence with you because he ran away from the place.
Yeah, social care do know that he's here and have agreed to it. It's the 15-year-old, he keeps running away.
Oh.
He's run away from one care home, got away from them for 3 weeks, got caught, got taken back, he stole their car, crashed their car into 2 houses, which was all over the news in Derbyshire.
Oh, really?
And it's all over the papers. And this was because there's a video in my possession of my son being physically, mentally, and emotionally assaulted by these members of staff on this care home. They've got him in a doorway where one of them actually grabs him by his testicles. And he's gone from that care home, they've moved him and put him into another care home, and he's being emotionally blackmailed in this care home that he's presently in.
And the social services they are involved on this case is from Coventry.
Yeah, Coventry.
And have you seen your children? No.
With the 16-year-old, obviously he's with me.
Yeah.
The 15-year-old, he's staying with my dad,
Yeah.
so I do get glimpses of him, and he has been at contact. And the 9-year-old, I'm seeing her once every school holiday, although it states in the court papers, which I received yesterday, I meant to see her once a month on her own, once a month with her brothers, and once a month it's supposed to be the whole family, me, their dad, and all 3 kids, and that isn't happening.
And she's not allowed to see her brothers?
No,
no one.
She's being kept isolated and has been for the last 2 years.
So you don't know how she is?
No.
Nothing?
No.
And she's a 9-year-old girl?
Yeah.
And
only spent 3 weeks away from me when I went in for my operation for the brain surgery. She's never been away from me. She's coming into contact, she's coming in there crying, saying that children within school have told her she's being adopted. Family members have told her, because they went to the same school, you're being adopted, and they were telling her it's because they've heard teachers and professionals speaking about it at home and at school.
So she has been told that she's going to be adopted?
Yeah.
And she knows her mother, and she has a loving mother, and she knows who the father is, and she knows that she has brothers, and obviously she wants to go back home to near her mother, and she's been told that she's going to be adopted.
Yeah. And on top of that, we had my mum seriously ill. We kept asking for a visit to my mum. We kept being told there would be a visit, it'd be booked. She got one visit, and then my mum kept sending me messages for over a year. Can she see Lily? When are you getting Lily home? Every day my phone went off, and it was my mum asking about Lily, to the point where my mum was taken into hospital at the beginning of April, seriously ill. Stopped all her medication, stopped all her feeds, stopped all her fluids, and she just kept pointing to the end of her bed. When I woke her up saying, Lily's here, Mum, she's by your left hand, she's holding it. She opened her eyes, stroked Lily's face, and within hours closed her eyes and never opened them again.
How old was your mother when she passed away?
76.
Have the social services contributed to her death?
Yes.
Because it is a torture, it is cruel, what they have done to her granddaughter.
Yeah.
So your mother died knowing that her precious little granddaughter was in a care home dealing
Yeah.
with strangers. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to say this. Probably being abused in
Yeah.
ways that only God knows. And your mother died knowing all of this. So
Yeah.
this is hell, this is cruel, this is evil. And your mother obviously did not. It was too much for your mother.
Yeah.
Annie, how old are you?
I'm 46.
This has been hell for 2 years.
Yeah. And then they took mental health at you. The only mental health I've had has been caused by them and doing what they're doing with my children.
Did you grow up in care?
No, never.
Did you have any social services involvement when you were a kid?
When my mum went in to have a major back operation, social care helped my mum and give my mum a week break from us, and we went on a holiday. But even when I was on that holiday, I was took on a horse. They let the horse go, and it galloped off with me on its back, then threw me onto a tree stump.
So
even that wasn't a good experience because I got chucked off the back of the horse because they let it go while I was on it.
So one of the experience that your mother knows, that trusted the children to them and they didn't take care of them.
No.
And for how long was that period? Say again?
A week.
1 week. So they were not able to take care of the children for 1 week. And now your grandmother knows that your child has been with them for 2 years. Annie, has the father of your children, has he grown up in care?
I wouldn't say he's grown up in care, but there was a point where his mum had to have hysterectomy, and they were supposed to go to a foster placement, and him, his brother, and his younger sister were taken to an approved school where he was sexually assaulted in this approved school. He ran away from there with his 7-year-old sister, his 4-year-old sister at 7 years old. He was picked up on a bypass by the police.
But why was not with his family? Because the mother.
His mum was in having a hysterectomy, and there was no other family to have him.
So I can see that the English, the families, some way it is in your culture that if you need any medical procedure, you can trust the social services to leave the child at their care for them to do the things that they need, and the children, they are all right and they are well looked after. But actually, the father of your children was sexual abused in care, whilst the mother trusts the children to them. Now, do you know how long that happened?
From what I get, it was a couple of weeks from his mum and himself, because I've had it from both of them, 2-3 weeks, and then she went and collected all 3 kids once she was well enough to get there to go and get them.
Was the father of your children was abused at home by these parents?
By the care home, yeah.
But not from the parents?
Not from his mum, no.
So I cannot imagine what the mother would feel like it to know that his son was abused whilst.
We were actually talking about it a few weeks ago when we took his mum shopping, and she was basically crying, apologising to him that he had to go through what he went through. Which I don't find fair. She's 87.
She's 87. How old was he when that happened?
Oh, he was 7 years old when it happened.
How old is he now?
He's 59.
Has he been through that already, or that still hurts him?
Because of what Ernie's gone through, my 15-year-old, in the care home in Derbyshire, it's brought it all back. And that's what's made him so angry, because it's brought all his back. The same thing has now happened to his son, and social care don't care about it, and nor do the police. They dropped the complaint and wouldn't even go and arrest the man that did it to him.
I'm really sorry, Annie, to learn about your story. These unfortunately is not the first case. It's not just one case, and the people they need to stop social services by child trafficking, because they are making money from the children that they are in foster care. You are a good mother. Your children, your girl, she wants to be with you, and the other two, they are not at your official care, but they are now in a better place. They are with granddad and he's with you, but your heart is still in pain, because your little girl, she is still away and not protected by you. What are the allegations that they have against you? Is only hearsay. There is nothing.
Apparently, I've given domestic violence to their dad. But at the end of it, the only domestic violence that was ever given was me, what I went through. I told them to go back and look at their records. No one ever did. And then, because I wouldn't make that false statement, they switched off me and switched on to the children's dad, who then they got to make a statement saying I was giving him domestic violence. So the only way I could get anywhere with anything was I turned up at the police station on 3 separate occasions to try and get this sorted out, and it was still used in court.
Annie, let me ask you, do you have any criminal record?
No.
Have you ever committed any crime?
No. When I was younger, I probably took sweets out of the shop, but that's about it.
Have you ever done any drugs?
I used to smoke cannabis when I was 16 to 18 years old. I found out that I was pregnant with my 28-year-old and never touched it again.
And
I've been accused of it, though, by these social workers, and I've asked them to do a drug test, and nothing's ever been done.
Have you been prevented from seeing now your baby girl? She's 9 years old. For how long now?
It's 2 years that she's actually coming up to 3 years that she's actually in foster placement in June.
And how long have you not seen her?
Last time I seen her was just over a week ago.
1 week ago. How was she last week?
Still her asking when can she come home. I've been asking for outside visits, and she's just getting no answers at all. But I'm getting the same. I get no answers. No one to answer the questions. Contact centre said you can't have outside visits because of Juno and Ernie. I'm not willing to take them outside. But I asked her on the Christmas visit last year, and she told me that she hadn't said that, but then she admitted it last week that she had said it.
How often is those contacts?
Once every school holiday, so it's roughly about once every 8 to 10 weeks.
How many people is in the room watching?
Myself watching me.
Yes. With
just one.
So you are not alone with your child?
No, I'm always with it. There's a supervisor, and if my 15-year-old is there, one of his care workers have got to be in the room as well. So it's not a family visit, it's a public visit.
So, and that supervisor is in there to make sure that what?
She's there to basically make sure that we don't sit there saying things to any of the children that's inappropriate.
Like
make sure that she's not harmed in any way, make sure we don't talk about the court case, about her coming home. All the stuff to do with social workers, we're not allowed to speak to her about, not allowed to ask her what school she goes to.
So Annie, you are not allowed to say to your daughter that you love her.
No, basically, you're sat in a room and scrutinised with everything.
Are you allowed to? Are you allowed to say her that you want her back?
No.
Are you allowed to say to her that you are fighting for her?
No, I'm not allowed to say any of it.
Are you allowed to say that I hope that this nightmare is going to pass away and soon you're going to be at home?
No.
Why is that?
Because it will confuse her and she needs to settle with the foster carers. The said foster carers who have somebody that goes and visits them on a daily basis. He drinks alcohol, takes drugs, and is allowed around my daughter and refers to my daughter as his little sister.
So, you are not allowed to say those things because that's what you have been told, that she has to settle in the foster care home. Now, how do you know that the guy drinks?
He was on the programme on Channel 4, Kids in Care.
Okay, so for the mothers to scream for help, they are not allowed on BBC, neither are the channels, because the parents, they are gagged. But on the TV, the foster families, so I don't like to call foster families because they are actually men and women that they are making money on children.
Yeah.
And they are advertising them on the TV. And so they are allowed to be on the TV. And what's that TV program about?
It was about children in care, but it was within West Midlands on that Pacific one. It was different areas on each week.
And what were they saying? How good they are for the children, how amazing they are taking care of the children, how nasty the children are because they don't behave and they have been taken from the nasty mothers. They are not able to take care of the children, and they are amazing people.
Yeah.
That's basically that, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you watch and you actually... How do you know that that guy that you watch is the foster of your child?
I've met her in LAC meetings.
Okay. So you know for sure that that's the person that is taking care, not taking care, is getting money from your child. And you saw that he drinks?
The foster child, yes, he drinks. He's the one that was actually there. He's a foster child that actually drinks, takes drugs, and was under the care of the foster mum and foster dad that has my daughter. And he's allowed to go around there and visit the house after being out drinking, taking drugs.
Do the social worker, have you expressed those concerns to the social worker?
I have yet, by email and invoice, and nothing was ever said. I've had no response from it.
So they are all on it. They know.
Yeah.
They know. That this is not about protecting the children. This is about separating the children, putting the children at risk, abusing the children, and making money on the children.
Yeah.
And the TV, unfortunately, is only there to publicize the child trafficking and not the screams for help from the families.
Yeah.
And the TV is not in there. The journalists, they are not in there to protect the families and to protect the human rights of these children.
No, they don't. They don't protect any of them. If they protected them, what happened to my son in the care home in Derby wouldn't have happened, and he wouldn't have been assaulted. He wouldn't have stolen a car. He wouldn't have crashed into 2 houses. Then people from them houses are still to this day living in a hotel, having to pay thousands of pounds out to stay in a hotel because a care home where the workers abused a child, caused him to steal a car, and then he crashed the car into their house, could have killed himself and the two families in the houses. Nothing's ever been done about it. Nothing at all.
Annie, I'm sorry for making this question. Do you know if your baby daughter is being sexually abused?
Not that I'm aware of.
And you cannot protect her?
No, I can't. I know for a fact she's being emotionally abused and mentally abused by the things that are being said to her about being allowed home and not being allowed home, and that won't ever happen, is what she's told.
For example?
If she asks about going home, she's told it won't ever happen. You're not going back home.
And who said that?
Social workers and the foster carers.
Last week when you were with her, I'm sure that you are happy to go in to see her.
Yeah.
But when you leave,
I tend to try and go into the toilet in the building before she leaves because I don't like her seeing me upset.
yeah, so you put the brave face for her.
And then hide in the toilet till she's gone.
But the fact that you do not show emotional to her, and you don't show it because if it's what they have done to me and it was a baby, we are not allowed to show emotions. We are not allowed to cry.
Yeah.
And we are made to sign a contract of expectations. You are not allowed to, if you want to carry on seeing your child, you're not allowed to cry. You are not allowed. That made you to sign a contract like that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you cry in front of your child, you are at risk of not seeing your child ever again. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'm emotionally abusing her if I do it in front of her.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
So, a 9-year-old girl that loves the mother and that sees the mother, and the mother does not cry. She's asking for the mother to take her with her, and the mother says, I cannot take you, because that's what you have been told. That's only you can say. You cannot say, I'm fighting for you in court. They are the ones that are stopping me. How does a 9-year-old girl goes in her mind thinking, my mother doesn't cry. My mother doesn't love me.
Yeah.
And even has to deal with everything they are saying to her that you are never going back home. Because your mother does not want you.
Yeah.
And Annie, have you ever seen any marks on her arms? Do you look into her to see if she's hurt?
I've never seen no marks or anything on her arms, but she goes into states where she goes through bedwetting, and they're saying that she goes very quiet and subdued and withdrawn after a visit as if it's a bad thing. No, the bottom line is she's been dragged away from a contact visit, taken back there because she's not allowed to come back home. She goes very withdrawn, won't speak to anybody, wets herself.
And how your heart handles seeing your child be taken from the room screaming?
Not good at all. I had my 15-year-old at one point when we very first started going to this contact centre on the first visit. He come into the visit and his words to me were actually, why did you let them take me?
Because that's what they say.
Yeah.
When she leaves the room, the contact, are they always taking her by force?
No, not by force. She goes with them, but you can see she doesn't want to go with them. And when I've been in the toilet, because the carer has to walk past the toilet with her, I've been in the toilet and the toilet window is open and the carer's there questioning her, asking her who turned up at the visit, how did the visit go, what did you get?
Yeah. Now, Annie, do you need to be in the contact for like 30 minutes before the meeting or something like that?
20 minutes.
20 minutes before.
Yeah.
And do they change the dates of the contact like a few minutes before? It's one date and then they change? And
no, it's been set for certain dates and they have been kept, apart from one with the 9-year-old where we were outside the front of the contact centre stuck on the main road and we're in traffic. We'd notified them we were there. We were stuck on the ring road in traffic, but the carer still drove off with her and took her away. I didn't get that visit.
So they are cruel.
Yeah, and the 15-year-old, when he actually crashed the car and was in that placement, the reason he did that was because the carers from that placement were actually refusing to bring him to family contact. And because they'd refused it, this is why he stole their car.
Okay.
He actually got hold of the actual landline from the care home and rang my phone to tell me they were refusing to let him come to contact and tried to get the phone off him. He wouldn't let them get the phone, so they unplugged it and never plugged it back in, so I couldn't ring him back either.
Annie, I'm sorry to make this question, but it's just for the people to... I go through this myself, obviously different circumstances because it was a baby. Annie, it's horrible to go to the contacts.
Yeah.
It was one of the horrible things to do. To see my baby and to have to leave and then go there in another day and then on weekends we're not allowed to see him and then he's on another day and then there isn't because there is a meeting in between the social workers and then he's in one place and then he's going to be moved to far away, like miles away.
Yeah, and that's what they've done.
That's what they've done.
Yeah. My LEC review for my 9-year-old is they've set it at 12:30 and now they want to change the time for this LEC review that's coming up next week because the school teacher has got to do exams within the school and she's booked this LEC review months and months ago, 6 months ago. She booked this date for this LEC review and now they're trying to change the time of it. And they all know that I have my mum's funeral coming up and they're trying to change days and times. I told them, no, the school made that appointment, the school have to attend it. If it was me, it wouldn't be changed for me, so I'm not allowing it to be changed. I have other appointments. So the appointment's got to stay as it is.
Annie, how is doing your kids in the school?
I don't know. Juno, the 16-year-old, he's refusing to go and do anything with school because they won't give him reassurance that he isn't going to be took from school and put back into a care home. The 15-year-old, he's refusing again. He wants assurance that he is getting what he's asked for and that's for him to be brought back to Coventry, either in a placement within our city or placed back at home. And Lily, I don't get nothing about her since she's changed school into this new school. They've taken her out of the school she was in. She was in a Roman Catholic school. She loved her religion. She is a Roman Catholic, baptised. And they've taken her now and put her in a non-Catholic school and she isn't getting her education around religion.
So she has not lost not only her mother, not only her brothers, she has lost as well her friends in school.
Yeah, She's lost everything.
Everything.
Yeah. And then I'm being asked by care workers, can they turn up at my mum's funeral? No, you can't. It's my mum's funeral. You're not coming to my mum's funeral.
They want to take the child to the funeral?
They're asking, can they go? Because Ernie is placed with my dad at the moment, but he's still in a placement, and his carers now want to come to my mum's funeral and be there at the funeral while it goes on.
So
they've been told they don't have permission not to turn up. My dad don't give it on, I don't give it on, and nor does my sister.
So the moment the family is going through hell, and even on the precious moment, in the moment that they are so vulnerable, they wanted to be there just to make their presence and just to hurt a little more. It's not enough. Have they said to you, if you do this or if you do that, you're going to get your child back? Have they put any conditions?
No. The ICO orders are until they're 18. I try to do appeals. Every time I do them, I'm knocked back. The judge has even said, fill in the relevant form for an appeal or a new case. I filled these forms in 4 times, and 4 times they've been shot back at me.
So legally, there is nothing that you can do?
No.
Have you told me about an Act 2000 to get a complaint on social services into the police. Can you say?
I've been trying to get hold of the sergeant that's doing that in the last 2 days. I was told he was back on duty yesterday. Tried to get hold of him, couldn't get hold of him, rang again today, and he's gone on rest days again and won't be back till Tuesday. So I've got no update on that either.
Annie, are you working at the moment?
No.
Are you not working because of your health condition, because of what happened to you?
Because of the health conditions, yeah.
Okay. And even if it was not that health condition regarding everything they are doing to this, like this meeting on this date, then that meeting on that date, that gets quite impossible for someone to work. And how does your oldest kid, does he, you said that he's in trouble as well with social services?
His 2 kids are being now targeted by social workers, and the social worker that was involved in my case caused this that's going on for him as well. She's at the back of that.
How old are your grandkids?
2 and 3.
Are they with the father?
They're with both mum and dad.
You know that there is a lot of money that they make, the social workers, they make with these. The judges, the solicitors, the police themselves.
Yeah, I've had an off-duty police officer that I've spoken to, who knows my adult son and has spoken to my adult son as well, and he said he refuses to work with social care because of what they're doing to families. He said about them ripping families apart. That's why he himself will not work social care.
But how does the police can deny to work with social care?
I don't know how he denies working with them.
It's because probably there is police that get bonuses to go and to collect that children for the social workers, and they are doing that job. So if that's interesting. So if the police denies to work with them, the police, they know exactly what they are doing.
Yeah, he said to me he knows exactly what social services do, and this is why that particular officer don't like to work with them. and refuses to work with them. He said, I'm not the only case that spoke to him in the last few months that's being dealt with social care in the same way.
Is it your opinion that the general public in England, and I mentioned England, but UK, they know what the social services are doing?
There's a lot of people that know it. I'm not sure everyone knows it, but there's a lot of the public that know what's going on.
But there is or not an idea that the social services, do the people they know about forced adoption, that it is possible to put babies for adoption, but they still have family, they still have mother and father?
Yeah.
Because I never heard. I thought it was completely impossible for a baby to go for adoption, having a mother and a father and having grandparents.
Yeah.
And England actually, by just using future emotional harm, risk of future emotional harm, they can actually put children for adoption. Yeah. There is a series on TV, I cannot recall the name of it, but I remember that, like, on that TV, that series, you know, like, there's EastEnders, I think.
Yeah.
And there was, like, mentioning, you know, if you don't behave, the social service, they come and take your children.
Yeah.
If you don't do what I say, if you don't get the divorce or this or that, I will go and put a false allegation on you and they will take your children. Can you hear these things on TV, on soaps?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
So they are letting the people know that this is happening. Yeah. So I take the conclusion that the general public, they do know what is happening. Now, why everyone is turning the blind eye to this? Why no one is helping? Why no one cares about children?
Same as the judges, no one helps there. You get permission off of a judge to go back to court, yet your applications are just chucked straight back at you because the judges are in on it as well.
Because they own the children cares, the children homes.
Yeah. They own them. They're directors. I've seen a few where I've gone into directors of different care homes, and you've got judges, barristers, solicitors. They're all within there, and they've got shares in it.
So, Annie, how do you believe that we can stop this? Can we stop this?
Unless people start standing up to social workers, they're not going to be stopped. They're just going to continue doing it. We've got to all stand together and do it as one. It's got to be national, not just little groups here and there. It has to be national. Have one set day where in every town and city we're all outside the family court. In every town and city at the same time. They haven't got a prison big enough to put every parent into. There isn't a police force where they're going to be able to go around and arrest every parent.
Now, Annie, Kyle, you have said the names of your children. You have said your name. You have given your face. Have you been threatened by the social services or by the police or by the judge to not say?
I've been threatened by one of the social work managers and told if I carry on, then they will report me to the police. So I told them, that manager, go and report me to the police. I will do it myself. I have nothing to hide. They're the ones with something to hide. Stealing kids to line their bank accounts with the thousands of pounds that they're getting from the government for each child they remove from a family. Put them into foster care for future risk of emotional harm. Not something you have done to your child, for something you might do to your child in the future. Their crystal ball method.
Future does not exist.
No.
So that's only bullocks. when they say risk of future emotional harm. Let me tell you, Annie, Kyle, that the McCann, that they left babies alone in Algarve.
Yeah.
They left the children alone. One of them, let's go with it, disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because from the book that I read, it's something else. And because they are doctors,
and they've got money,
or because he's probably from the masonry, and there is the saying that he was going to be the next health minister, and because he has high relationships, and Gordon Brown was actually his lawyer. Gordon Brown was actually the prime minister back then.
Yeah.
And he stopped being the prime minister to become his lawyer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And they had information that no one else had access to, and things happen. And they went back to England with the twins. So Madeleine McCann was 3 years old when she disappeared. And the twins, they were babies.
Mm-hmm.
And they left the children alone. One of them disappeared.
But they keep the other two.
So is that future emotional risk, or that is actually neglect?
That's actually neglect.
Okay.
Because they left her on her own.
Yeah, but they were left to keep the twins with them.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Money. Money talks.
So the social services, they see future emotional risk where there doesn't exist absolutely nothing, but when there is neglect, they actually and actually, I don't know if you know, it seems in Algarve there was a social worker around, and she was told to bugger off. I think that's how you say in English. And there is, it seems, one of the members of the group, I think there is on the list of you know, I don't have to say no.
But they get to keep the other two children that they could possibly leave again in an empty apartment with no adult. If they've done it once, how many times have they done it already and since?
But let me ask you, because it came up on the news that it is normal for the English to leave the children alone at night for the parents to go to the pub. Is that normal in England?
No.
But actually, there is, what's his name? Tony, the Prime Minister. I think he did the same.
Blair.
He did the same, didn't he? He left the child alone, and they forgot the child in the hotel, and the hotel, in the hotel, and the kid was in the corridors asking for mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
I think was with him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure.
Again, he's got money, and he was a prime minister, so they're not going to touch him. It'll be brushed under the carpet.
Annie, you have been threatened, and you have been gagged, correct?
Gagged, no. Not so much, but told if I carry on, then I will be arrested, and she will report me to the police.
Your family, your kids, do they know that you are doing this interview?
My oldest and my 15-year-old do. My 9-year-old doesn't. I haven't seen her since I've spoken to you to arrange to do this. But once I do see her, I will tell her I've done the interview, and I am fighting to get her back. I'm not going to stop fighting to get her back.
Annie, I am in Portugal. I'm not in England. I have been told when I came to do a protest in Portugal that because I came to Portugal to ask for help from the Portuguese government, and because they had taken my baby already, and when I have been told by a journalist, if you go back, you're going to be arrested for the circus that you are doing. So she was warning me, and because they had taken my son already, I decided to not go back because I wanted to do my best to speak with everyone in Portugal, all the politicians, and to get my baby back. So,
Yeah.
Annie, what I'm saying is, you are in England, I'm not. So
Yeah.
you are very strong. Yeah, I'm very proud of you for doing this, because you have to be very brave to have the courage to give your face to do this for your children, and not to be afraid that they come in there and they put you in prison. But I know that mothers, they have been put in prison.
Yeah, one of the groups I'm on WhatsApp, a friend on there, she spoke out on TikTok, and because she spoke out on TikTok, she actually ended up in prison for 5.5 weeks. She's just been released, and that was because she did a discharge of care order application. She's actually in court today for her discharge of care order. So we've all got our fingers crossed, hoping that she gets her discharge of care order.
And they are punishing mothers for speaking up for their children.
Yeah.
But the mothers and the fathers, they don't give up on the children, and
No.
they are amazing souls, amazing warriors that are giving voice to the children. And
without our voices, the children don't have a voice.
And there is so many children in the home cares.
That's what our actual WhatsApp group is called, Voices of the Children.
Because we are the voice for the children. I don't know where my son is, but I'm the voice for my son. I'm the voice for other children. And all we want is people to help us to get our babies back. Because we need journalists from other countries to expose these situations. But we still know that other countries that are doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
So we, society, need to stop this. We need to stop social services to exist. We need to stop adoption to exist, because this is child trafficking. We need to stop police to remove children from the families. We need to stop secret family courts, because they are criminal courts.
All behind a closed door.
Where corruption is happening.
No journalists are allowed in, nothing, so it's not publicised, where it should be in open court, and your kids are being took because you've harmed them. Where is the actual charge for that harm? Why don't we have a jury? Because there is no harm, and being behind a closed door, we can't fight for what we need, which is a jury. They're not letting newspapers in because it's their secret closed door courts.
And these people, they are in power. They have the power because they have the police. And the police there is not in there to protect us.
No, they're there to help social services.
To steal
to remove kids.
To steal children.
And sell them off for profit for their bank accounts and their pockets.
But Annie, don't you think that there is any good people in power?
There's been a few, not many. I can't count the few that I've dealt with on one hand.
Do the social services, they have pleasure on hurting you?
Yeah, they do it with every family that they can.
Do you see the pleasure when they speak to you?
Yeah, one particular social worker and one manager both had a dirty grin across their face when they walked out of my house.
Do you think it's just because of the money, or do you think because they are really just nasty?
I think it's both. They get a kick out of seeing parents being hurt.
The power.
They get a kick out of, that's another £35,365 for that child going to our accounts.
They get bonus for removing children.
Yeah, for one child, they've got different ones. For one child, it's 35,365. and then they've got another payment for 2 children, then 3 children, 4, and 5 is what's on their paperwork as negotiable.
Wow.
And this is all readily printed on CAFCAF's site.
So it's public notice.
Yeah, everyone knows about it. The piece of paper that's going round everywhere is a CAFCAF's piece of paper, and it gives you the list of how many children and how much will be paid for them. On the last one, it's either 4 or more or 5 or more, negotiable. I have got the piece of paper in my photos, so I can send you a copy of that privately.
Do you know if there is any cases where children are being given back?
Not that I'm aware of. There is one woman where they're doing reunification with her.
Okay.
She's allowed to have her kids for a couple of days, and then they go back, and then they work it back in, and they do so many days a week to build it up to take them back into living with their mum.
But do you think they are just doing dangling and doing emotional abuse, or do you think they are really going to give the children back?
We're not actually sure yet, because today is going to be her first actual day where she has her children back with her for 2 days.
Okay. All right. Do you know if there is any cases in the European Court of Human Rights?
Not that I'm aware of. I have tried to look it up myself to try and get it there myself, and I'm just met with basically a brick wall. As it gets so far in, it just stops dead, and you can't find out where to go from there.
Yeah. Have you been able to put a complaint into the police against the social worker? Oh, sorry, you have mentioned already. Try to...
Yeah, I've got a complaint in. I'm just waiting for the officer to be on duty to find out what's going on with this complaint.
But that's hard itself. To put to write it down in the police that a person that is a social worker has kidnapped your children, that itself, it's hard.
Yeah. I sat there for about 2 hours writing the big email to the ICO and taking it down that route, because normal complaint wasn't taken. It weren't until I went to the ICO because of the police officer I spoke to when he was off duty, and he told me to do it the way that he wanted me to do it, and my complaint got took.
And Annie, fortunately I think there is 1 or 2 policemen or ex-policemen, retired policemen, that they are actually exposing social services.
Yeah, one of them is Gary Waterman that's doing it at the minute.
Yeah.
He's doing some exposing.
Do you know anyone else?
No.
Okay.
But Gary Waterman is on TikTok exposing fully.
Yeah.
And there's somebody else that's in it with him, but their name hasn't been given, and they've asked them to go and check on a child who's being physically, mentally and sexually abused. They've asked the actual police force and children's services to go and remove the child from the said address and put the child with a member of the family. I'm yet to hear an update on it. That was yesterday. I don't know how far it's got today because I've not been on there.
That's the case that was in Portsmouth, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Leon Edwards was with Kerry, and they were with that mother.
Yeah. The same thing has happened to Kerry, though. They've kidnapped her 2 boys.
Yeah. Listen, Annie, I believe that this policeman has connected the social services in UK with the island in America, the famous island in America, for... I don't remember his name now. Not the guy that they said that he's committed suicide in the prison.
Yeah. It just seems to be more and more. There's more and more parents, especially men, that are actually committing suicide because of what's happening to them behind closed doors with the family court.
Yes, because so do you think that there is more men committing suicide than the mothers?
Yeah, there's a lot of men doing it.
And I that's interesting that you're saying that, because the father is supposed to be the superhero of the child, and they are preventing the superhero to exist. They are preventing the fathers to protect the families, and that pain is it is so much that some of them they commit suicide. So the social services, they are not just child trafficking, they are actually killing people, the mothers and the fathers, and sexually abusing the children.
Yeah.
Annie, thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for being strong. I would just I would like you just to give your email. Remember that you prefer one to the other to become public, and then I will write you down the email in case if there is someone that wants to take this case to become public. If England cannot, so then to do in another country, but to expose what this is happening, to stop this. Can you give your email, please?
My email's capital A double NIE KYLE
78.
78 at gmail.com.
.co.uk.
Yeah. Co.uk.
AnnieKyle78 at gmail.co.uk. That's the one I'm going to write it down. Thank you so much, Annie, for being strong to expose this. Thank you so much for not being afraid, and you are amazing, mother.
If parents are afraid and don't expose, they're just going to get away with it. So parents have got to stand up, be strong, and fight these criminals, liars, and storytellers.
And has happened to me, has happened to you, has happened to so many other parents. It can happen to everyone.
It's also happened to 2 of my nieces as well, who have been taken by Bournemouth County Council. And 2 of my nieces are actually in foster placements, haven't seen them for 5 or 6 years.
So it's not just your children. You are doing this interview even to protect the future of your grandchildren, your nieces as well.
Yeah.
How many children? I have a number in 2023. Nearly 3,000 adoptions, forced adoptions have happened.
Yeah, and the mother of my nieces has gone on to have another baby, and she's been allowed to keep it while her boyfriend and her are both drinking constantly and smoking drugs.
We don't want them to take the children. What you're just saying is that they have to wait for we don't want any children to be removed, but we want to protect the children, and the social services, they are not protecting the children that needed to be protected. And anyway, Annie, thank you so much for being strong, for doing this for your family, and for being so strong, and I really wish you the best. We will keep in touch. Thank you so much for trusting me to do this.
That's okay. If I don't do it, then they just get away with it more and more. So I've got to start speaking, or I'm just going to get shut up before my story gets out. And I want my story out before they shut me up.
And you want your beautiful Lily Rose to know that the mother has been fighting for her.
Yeah, because she's actually being told I'm not fighting for her and that she ain't ever coming home. If it's got anything to do with me, she'll be coming home. I am fighting for her, and I'm not going to let them win.
And only the people that goes through these social services, they know how evil, how cruel they are. But still, you are standing here.
Yeah.
Annie,
with a lot of others and yourself included.
Annie, thank you so much. Give a strong hug to your children, and I want to send you my love. And thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
And carry on being strong.
I will. You too, because you've got to get through it as well.
I will get my son. I will find him. I think he's going to have the same teeth as me. I'm going to find him, and on the day that I will meet him, I'm going to tell him, you have been away for that long. No disco, no pubs. You need to be near your mom now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Let me say, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do. Share and like. Leave your comment for support to Annie. And share to everyone this story. And please help me to give voice to the children. Thank you so much, and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.